Howdy, and welcome back to You've Got People Problems, the podcast where we tackle the leadership challenges that no one wants to talk about, but every business faces. I'm your host, Melissa Ortiz with Activate Human Capital Group, and this is episode 29. Today we're talking about what it takes to shift from a traditional in-office culture to building a team that includes both on-site and remote employees across so many different time zones, with my guest, Luke Ross of Kotman Technologies. Luke shares the story of how Kotman Tech evolved from its roots in Michigan to becoming a managed service provider in California, and how they've balanced growth with culture while expanding their team beyond their Central California geography. At the heart of this conversation is the question leaders everywhere have been facing for several years now. How do we build trust, clarity, and connection when our teams are no longer under the same roof or even sharing a time zone? Luke shares practical lessons from his own experience, navigating uncertainty, finding the right mix of local and remote talent, and building an environment where people can thrive regardless of where they sit. If you've ever wondered how to adapt your hiring and culture strategies to a more flexible workforce, this episode offers insights you can put to work right away. Let's get to it. Howdy, y'all, and welcome back to You've Got People Problems. Today, I'm so excited to have a client of mine, Luke Ross from Kotman Technologies. And we're talking about something we haven't covered yet, which is a really important journey that many of my clients have been on. And it's this discussion around how do we go from a headspace where we've always been in the office only to a place where we're evaluating external candidates, maybe domestic, maybe international. How do we bring in remote employees when we've really been a physically present first? So really, I'm looking forward to hearing about this journey. We kind of chatted about it earlier, Luke, and tell me a little bit about Kotman. What, your ideal geography, your client focus.
Sure. Well, Melissa, thanks for having me. Excited to have this conversation today. Yeah, for us, Kotman Technology, we're a managed service provider, an MSP here in the Central Valley in California. So Fresno, California is our home base. Founded back east in Kalamazoo, Michigan, about 20 or so years ago. We've got about 40 people or so total with the company, with a mix of both in-person and remote folks. And that's a new change. That's a new change for us.
I didn't know y'all started in Michigan. That's
Yeah. So John, there's your origin story, right? So John Kotman, owner and founder, high school tech genius, started an IT company and would drive around. Actually, he was too young to drive. His mother drove around and fixed people's computer problems after school. And in those days, it was like fax machines and different things like that. He had a good friend whose dad was an attorney. So he picked up his first like legal client outside of residential. And so by the time he graduated, he had about 175 residential and small business clients. So yeah, there's your quick origin back to John Kotman in high school. Yeah.
I can't believe I missed that. That's amazing. So if you don't know me and you're listening because you know Luke, my name is Melissa Ortiz and my company is Activate Human Capital Group. I'm obsessed with getting the right people in the right seats, making sure that they're thriving and that they are delivering great results for the company. But what we find is when they're in the right seats, they also happen to have better work-life balance, have more time and energy for their family, their physical well-being, their faith, whatever is important to them. And so it's this mutually beneficial effort to get people engaged in the right seats and really all rowing in the same direction. So I love this topic of people problems and really thinking through how do we find some tips and tricks to help us do better with people, because they are quirky as the day is long and they're probably not going to be replaced by AI anytime soon for a lot of our businesses. So thanks for going down this path with me today, Luke.
Yeah, sure thing.
So tell me a little, when we first met, it was very much people need to be in Fresno and they need to come into the office. We want to see them. We want to see what they're doing. And we want to keep supporting them on their journey. What was the first discussion, if you can recall that far back, I mean, it hasn't been that long, to why we might entertain somebody who doesn't physically sit in our office?
Yeah, the journey really starts probably 12, 18 months ago or so. We're part of a peer group of other IT companies called Evolve or HTG. And we started to hear this rumbling of overseas work and overseas employees and growing your team outside of your local region. And I think if you even go back a few years, probably goes to some COVID roots of folks working from home and like this iteration of like what would it look like to be hybrid started. And so that's where the discussion really first kicks off is probably through our peer group, and you start hearing people do it. And it sounds scary at first. It sounds like I wouldn't know what they do and where are they and where are they working and are they productive? And probably a lot of questions followed. But yeah, that's where the discussion really started, probably about a year or so ago.
What in your peer group, what roles were the prime candidates? Was it we couldn't find enough techs or couldn't pay them what they wanted? Was it dispatch? Where were the roles that seemed to be finding success?
Yeah. Yep, 100%. So initially, it starts with just the demand of IT services. So as cybersecurity risk grew, IT services grew alongside that. And so as our companies and our peer group began to grow, we said, well, we have to hire. And so as we look to hire, a lot of us don't know how to do that well, quite frankly. And so we start hiring. We put out jobs on ZipRecruiter or Indeed and maybe a general blast or post, and we're not even quite sure what we're looking for. And that sort of led the discussion. So the demand of growth, the demand of people, the demand to hire. And then the conversation started, well, what would it look like to hire great people who maybe don't work here, who maybe don't live here? Could that work? And so I think that started to become a thought at that time.
So then what was the role that you first took a risk on?
Well, so tech talent is primary, right? And so finding great technical talent in your area became challenging. So the first hire we did was overseas. So we worked with a group, ConnectWise is our PSA, right? That's what we work out of. That's our daily driver. And so ConnectWise had a program in India with their ConnectWise people. So they said, hey, we've got an office here, we've got people here, they're familiar with the systems. And so it felt safe to okay, we know ConnectWise. Okay, let's try it. I remember sitting in the first interview calls on Teams with a couple members of our leadership team, and we're interviewing this gentleman from India, and we don't know what to expect. We've never done like a video interview, a Teams interview. Or what are we? It felt so foreign and different, and at the same time, like kind of exciting. Like this might be the next iteration for Kotman. So I remember that was overseas. It was like a tier two, I think they categorize, right? A tier two tech. And yeah, that was our first kind of dipping the toe in the water.
And did you hire the first one you met? Did you interview 50 and pick one? What was this? The
Yeah, so their system, I think we're slower at times to make decisions. We want to be really thorough with like what we're doing. We want to bring on the right people, hire slow, fire fast, right? Hire slow. And their system and process was you had one interview in person. We didn't know this till the time when the moderator jumps back in and the gentleman steps off, right? So he steps away and they're like, so do you guys want to hire him? And we're like, ugh, that was like a 30-minute
oh,
conversation. And they're like, so he's on the bench. Like we've got other people interested, let us know in the next I think we had a few hours, 2 or 3 hours. Let us know in the next 2 hours if you want. If not, he's going on. We're like, ah! And remember, like we're faced with growth and need, and we're like, I think, are we gonna do it? I guess you have to take the jump. And so yeah, so I think our timeline return was like 2 hours, 3 hours, like you gotta make a call. So it was the first person that we talked to. It was the first like, yeah, we said, all right, I guess we're going for it. And so yeah, we did. So we hired our first person, first team's call. No PI, no hire. Like we don't know much. We just said, what would it look like to expand our team? And perhaps some of the goal was to get some follow the sun coverage. What would it look like to do some things in off hours to increase as our clients grew in different time zones? How do we cover that? And so, I mean, that was really the driver. We said, I guess we got somebody in a different time zone, and technically he's sound. I guess we're jumping in. And that was kind of where it started.
and then did it work out or did it not work out with the first go?
Not so well. He was a sweetheart, not due to his talent, skills, and abilities at all, but a lack of me, I'd say, of framing and building out the role of what this would look like and how it happened pretty quick. And so there's often times where when you're working, and he was working, his 8 to 5, and so it was like off hours, so not a lot of overlap on team, tough to direct manage and have one-on-ones, not a real sense of team or camaraderie. So some of those things became challenges, and yeah, he was wonderful, but ultimately
Wasn't a fit.
didn't really work out so well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard a lot of discussion about if we're going to offshore, what time zone to be in. And especially in California, so many of our clients have Hispanic employees and leaders that I hear a lot about South America, Central America. I also hear great things about the Philippines, India. All I can think, I have to go back for a second though. All I can think about with this, like, do you want to hire this guy? Is like, this is an arranged marriage, and this is the wife that we have picked for you, Luke. And I think you just need to say yes to the dress.
We did, and we said yes to the dress right away. We're like, yep, that love at first sight. We're in. Yeah.
But so did you, for your next try, did you go back to India? Did you try somewhere else? What was that iteration?
Yeah, so we've now sprinkled in a few different places, and so we work with a wonderful group called Scaled out of South Africa now, and so we've got a number of employees there and who we love and do a phenomenal job. We found that the English was great, the accent was wonderful, and the technical level was very strong. And it's been a wonderful partnership with them, with Scaled, their organization, and the team over there does a great job. So they've been wonderful. We do have employees in the Philippines as well, and exploring other peer group members. Do have folks in India as well as Colombia and South America that started to really grow as a region for like overseas labor as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've grown tremendously. You said now about a quarter of your team is not on site and three quarters are.
Yeah, right about. Yep.
What do you find the biggest difference in terms of people problems or even people management is between the two groups?
Yeah, it's a good question. In many ways, there's less. The people problems, our team is amazing. Like, I love our overseas team. They're so sweet. We're a heavy like Slack shop. So we're talking all the time. There's different Slack channels. We have a channel called Random where people are doing funny pictures or like this TV show or like whatever movie they saw. And it crosses oceans, right? The conversation goes over that. And so it's been pretty fun to collaborate. There's a channel we have called Kotman Family, and so people will take pictures of their family. And so the Kotman family is beyond borders. It's beyond Fresno. It's beyond city limits, right? And so for us, we also have four folks across the United States who work outside of Fresno as well. So not just remote folks in other countries, but also we kind of expand that talent search to maybe a bit broader in terms of even domestic as well.
Yeah. Amazing. So what about in terms of managing them, in terms of setting expectations or performance reviews? Is that pretty consistent across your team members?
Yep. Yeah. Great question. We're an EOS shop, so we operate with EOS framework with L10s, and so with roles and responsibilities, that's a box. If you look at your company, what does the box require in order for Kotman Technology to be successful? In order for Kotman Technology to hit these whatever it is, top line revenue goals, service goals, customer satisfaction reviews, what needs to happen within each box? So the box is what's determining these things. And so we set that up prior, thanks to the help of Melissa and her team. And so that's what's led to some of these things. So now you're finding great people who have clear roles and responsibilities. So whether those people are here or not, the box in many ways has metrics tied to it, roles and responsibilities tied to it, and you can see if you're winning in your day. We use a product called Bright Gauge, and so you can see green, yellow, red. It's almost like a live scorecard, right? Kind of a Power BI live analytics dashboard where you can see, am I winning? And so we track a couple of key metrics by box, by position, by department, and people can see live in real time if they're green, yellow, red, if they're winning for the day. And so through L10s, through community, through chat and different things, different mediums there. And then live scorecards, I think our team can know whether they're here or not, if they're winning and how they collaborate and connect with each other.
I have to say, most of my clients, not just many, most of my clients have so much envy of the managed service IT space because y'all have become masters of employee level scorecards and metrics. The amount of companies I work with, even much larger companies, 1,500 employees, don't have metrics for almost any role but sales. And it's so frustrating to their team members because they don't know how to win. To managers, they don't know how to gauge performance. So it becomes very subjective. But I'm actually going to pause and back you up because I think you said some words that may not be translatable for all humans. So you talked about a box. I assume that means a box on the accountability chart in EOS, but really on an organizational chart. What is this? What are the roles and responsibilities of this seat in our organization?
Yep.
And they use two other acronyms, EOS and L10. Tell us what those mean if people
Sure.
aren't familiar with EOS.
So yeah, if you haven't and are not familiar with EOS, I think starting with even like a Jim Collins Good to Great, if you're for those of you who are readers out there, would totally recommend. And Gino Wickman for Traction. It's an EOS. It's an entrepreneurial operating system. It's a business methodology and framework. Industry agnostic, size agnostic. It's a framework to run your business, and so that's EOS. And so we adopted EOS probably about 3 or 4 years ago now. Came alongside with a great implementer who shows you how to kind of, if you're going to go to the gym, you get a trainer because you don't know how to pull on the weird weight rope, and you do weird things. So similar to us, we tried EOS and we're like, we don't know what we're doing. So Brent Sprinkle has been our implementer. He's incredible. And so he's worked with us, kind of like our trainer in the gym for how to go through EOS. So as we implemented this methodology, as we implemented these systems and processes, it's been game changing as far as our company's concerned and how we run our business.
And then an L10.
L10 is, yeah, so L10 is a level 10 meeting. And so L10s happen with departments. And so maybe if I could just back up for a second, if you're looking at your business, even on grab a napkin and you're saying, what are my goals, top line revenue, profit or margin, and maybe another key metric that you're trying to achieve. And you map that out. So you got somebody at the top who's kind of run the show. They call it a visionary, right? Somebody who's helping that visionary carry out their plan. That's an integrator. And then below that, you probably have some finance, maybe some operations and some sales. Typically, is what happens. Like if you open a lemonade stand, you probably sell some lemonade. You put it outside. Operations, you make the lemonade, and then finance, you collect for the lemonade. So sales, finance, ops, kind of the three boxes, and we kind of built from there. What does each box need to do in order for Kotman to hit these goals, for Kotman to be successful? What are the operations? What are the widgets we do? What are the sales that we need to make? What are the financials that we need to hit or collect on? And so you just build the box, right? You build the box in EOS framework. And so that's maybe what I'm referencing when I'm saying the box. So what does each role, what is each box accountable for? And who are they accountable to in order for that to happen?
Which I think really lays the foundation for if we really think about back to our original conversation of going from only on site to opening up our borders a little bit about what we're willing to consider. When you have this strong foundation, it makes it so much easier to communicate, collaborate, hold people accountable, set clear expectations. I think that was, in my opinion, probably one of the keys to your ability to be successful there.
Well, I appreciate you saying it. I mean, the credit goes to you and many others who helped us along our journey to build that. But it's foundational. If you can't tell someone in a simple, 3 to 7 main points with 3 to 7 sub points what they're going to do in their job. Hey, I need you to do A, B, and C. If you can't tell them what they're going to do, you're going to be disappointed. It's not going to work. You'll have increasing frustration, increasing angst, and like, man, they're just not smart. They're just not fast enough. They just don't get it. They don't operate like I do, whatever it might be. And I would say that's would make sense. And I'd also say it's probably our fault as leaders for not establishing that box, that role and responsibility for what we want them to do. What do we need our people to do? What do we need that box to do in order for the company to succeed and thrive and hit goals? And that's our job, right? That's the hard work, I think, of leadership, is building out what we want to see and then supporting people and turning them loose to hit those goals and to live those responsibilities in their unique way, right? With their unique gifts and abilities.
And I think that's something that I've really seen in the most successful clients I have is that one of our core values is meet them where they are. And it translates to like you were talking, I think, about a sales guy that you have that just keeps knocking it out of the park and you keep giving him different goals and he just keeps just hitting those and figuring out how to communicate and set goals in a way that is in line with someone's natural approach is one of the simplest ways in my work that I see people avoid engagement issues, avoid people problems. When you have good people in the right seat and they're doing work they enjoy, they don't create problems.
Right. Isn't that novel? It's
It,
profound. No, I think you're spot on. if people, we run it through EOS again, this entrepreneur operating system. We talked about, and Melissa, you referenced it earlier, right person, right seat. I think that's the goal of activate human capital. Get the right people in the right seat so they enjoy what they do, so they can succeed and thrive at what they do. And for us, we run that through a values system. We say, are you matching the Kotman values of passion, professionalism, integrity, consistency, and community? Are you living those out? That's the values. That just shows you're the right person, right? You've got the right heart. You're in the right space. The second piece is get it, want it, capacity. Do you get the job? Do you want to do that job? And then do you have the capacity, whether cognitively or bandwidth of time, whatever, to do it? Get it, want it, capacity to do the job. And I think those two things you have to weigh those when you're hiring and when you're growing and when you're building these boxes. Say, hey, is this the right person? And do they get it? Can they fit? I think I'd be the right person for like a surgeon role at the local hospital. I think I'm a great person. I think my bedside manner would be phenomenal. I think kids would like me. I think adults alike. I think I could do a great job. But then that's the people in it. But then get it, want to come back. Luke, do you get it? Do you get how to be a surgeon? No, not at
Right.
all. Do you want it? I don't, not really. Capacity, certainly not. Cognitively, we are not there. We don't know what to do to have surgery. So I think you have to look at both things when you're finding people. And it's a challenge, right? It's a challenge, and it's also the joy that we get as leaders to do and to build.
Yeah. I was working with a client the other day on the GWC part. So get it, want it, have the capacity. And we're on Zoom, and behind him on a whiteboard, he's got this person's name written that he's really struggling with. And there's a GWC below their name and there's numbers. And I said, okay, there's a problem right there. And he said, what? I said, they don't want the job. And he said, yeah, I don't think they want this job. I said, you should ask them. And he said, yeah, I really should. And he sent me a text later that night. She quit. She didn't want the job. I'm like, great, problem solved. She didn't want to be here. I can't want it for her. No matter how much we develop someone, no matter how much we invest in them and encourage them along the way, if they don't inherently want the responsibilities that this job entails, we have a simple mismatch. And often employees will tell us, I don't really want to do that work. Okay, we may have a different job. If you're a great culture fit, we may be able to repot you into a different space. And that's whether they're virtual or
That's
in
right.
person.
Yeah.
But maybe we don't. And we can help you find another opportunity or part ways as friends. But that ability to say, I think I'm in the wrong seat takes a lot of vulnerability. You and I were talking in our pre-call about two different people who have said, I think I think I'm not in the right seat. And the ability to have that much trust with you as an integrator, as an operations person, to me is huge. It's something I really applaud because you've clearly built that trust over time. Will you talk a little bit about those conversations?
Sure. Yeah, I was thinking too, as you're saying that, of my failures of why that first time didn't succeed. And his name was Cam Lesh. He's this total sweetheart. And it didn't succeed because I didn't have the roles and responsibilities. I didn't take the time to build that box. So here comes this great person who is a people fit, right? Who is a culture fit, who would be a great addition. And did he get the job? Did he want the job? Did he have capacity to do it? He didn't get it. He didn't get the job. And you know why? Because I didn't frame what the job was. Here's the three things I need you to do. Here's the numbers I need you to hit, right? It wasn't clear. So how could he ever succeed? He didn't get it. And eventually the desire wanes and and so then it goes poorly. But anyway, I think as a leader, you have to look in the mirror and you say,
Okay, so wait, I want to pause you there for a second because I do a lot of speaking engagements for entrepreneurs groups and leadership groups. And I often I have this little like gif of that Taylor Swift song, It's Me, hi, I'm the problem, it's me. And it's like it's so often us. And so pausing to give a little bit of credibility to if there's a people problem, how often is it us and how often is it that person? And it's probably 80-20. It's us.
man,
And
yep.
until we've dealt
You
with
look
them.
at the great coaches after like a ball game or something after NFL just started, and if they win, man, the team did a great job. They look the window in the mirror principle, right? They look through the window, man, the team did a great job, proud of them. They don't look in the mirror and say, man, I did a great job coaching them. I'm really proud of the game plan I put together. I really led the team to a success. Who wants to follow that guy? The leader's looking out, and similarly, if the team loses, don't look through the window and say, yeah, this team totally blew it. They didn't execute anything. They're all awful. These guys shouldn't be on a football field. You look in the mirror and say, I blew it. I set a poor game plan. I didn't set our team up for success well. And that fault rests with me. The window in the mirror, I think it's a healthy thing. It's a humbling thing. It's very hard. But if you can do it, I think it's a great practice. But anyway, you're
I
talking
haven't
about
heard
the
that one before.
conversations. I'm sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I haven't heard that the window in the mirror before. I really like that. I talk a lot about managers being the frame through which employees see the organization. Because if you have a disengaged manager, it's very hard to be a disengaged or to be an engaged employee. But I haven't heard the window in the mirror. I really like those. Thank you for that.
Well, yeah, it's a humbling way to look at it when you start realizing if there's any fault in the organization, it's problem. It's your Taylor Swift thing. It's I'm the problem. It's me. That it's a humbling thing, but it's probably accurate.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah.
anyway, going back, I was asking you about what was I asking you about? The wing thing went down total rabbit hole.
No, you're good. I think there's a couple people conversations where people changed seats and,
Yes.
and wanted to maybe say, man, I love this place. I love being here, and I think I'm in the wrong seat. And so those were two uh, tough conversations. There were tears involved, on both sides because the person's coming saying, "Hey, I don't." There's probably some sense of like shame, fear, guilt mixed in there of like, "Hey, I don't think I'm doing the job." This is a hard conversation. I had one of the our team members who I love dearly said, "Hey, I don't want you to try to convince me out of this. Just please listen to what I'm going to say. I think I'm in the wrong seat. I don't want to disappoint you. I think I need to be in a different spot." And for me as a leader, the response, and I wanted him in the seat, right? I was, no, you are so good. You should be there. I'm fighting all like the internal things to convince him to, and I needed to just shut up and listen and say, man, I love you. I appreciate you saying that we have a relationship where you can share that openly and honestly with me. And man, let's find a spot where you can win, where you feel like you can win. Because in that moment, he was not feeling like he was winning. The number green, yellow, red probably felt a little more yellow and red. And so, what can we do to help get people in a better spot? That became the conversation. So he's still with us today, and been with us for a number of years, and I love him dearly. So.
I two comments on that. One, on the red, yellow, green indicators. Sometimes what I see is the performance is green, but the energy tax is red, and the energy tax isn't showing up anywhere. So I have the ability to do the work, but it's the want it. If I get it and I have the capacity, but I don't want it and it's taxing me and it's exhausting me. And if I look around, what I see in the in economy is we often don't have employees with enough courage to come
Hmm.
to someone and say, this is really risky, but I think I'm in the wrong seat. And I often see people just leave. They'll just take a different job. That's changing a little bit with more candidates on the market, but it's something I've been worried about for a long time because if we have that courage, A, to ask for the resources we need, to tell someone when I need training and development, or I think I'm ready for the next role, or I'm in the wrong seat, but we just don't have a lot of courage. And
Hmm.
I think that's where
That's
trust
well
really
said. I,
comes.
I think Socrates that is of all the values and virtue, without courage, none of the others exist. I think that's I'm paraphrasing, but it's pretty close. Courage was the value, the virtue that without it there are no others. You have to be able to. How do you display values? How do you display the rest of those virtues without courage?
Yeah.
And to try to build that in an organization is challenging. And I think you could look at probably from in my mind, I often go to Stephen Covey and look at relational equity and deposits being made in relationships day to day. Um, to have courage to have a tough conversation, man, that feels like I'm going to take a huge withdrawal in the relationship. Like I'm coming to you and saying, I think I'm going to disappoint you. I think I'm going to let you down. I'm really nervous to tell you what I'm about to tell you. Right? So I'm perceived, I'm going to take a huge withdrawal on this equity balance that you and I have. But if there's nothing to draw from, I can't have that conversation. I'm going to be in the red, if you will, or upside down. So I need to feel that you and I have some balance, that you and I have some equity. And so, how do we build those equity deposits? How do you walk by and give a high five? How do you send a nice Slack that says, hey, I'm thinking of you, I see how hard you're working, and I'm proud of you? These little comments along the way that do build equity, that when the tough conversation has to happen, there's something to draw from. I just think that's so key. And those intentional investments and intentional, just small things. And I think they're pretty important and allow those tough conversations to happen.
I also want to commend the employee that came to you in the way he set up the conversation, because I find that makes such a difference to say, I have to say something hard. So, okay, so I'm putting you on notice. You have my full attention now, and I need you to not try to change my mind. I now have two pieces of information. I'm all ears, my mouth is shut, and I'm just fully here to listen. And that isn't something everyone is a sophisticated enough communicator to do. And maybe it was scary enough that he role played it with somebody or just gave it a lot of thought. But that's hard. And I think it's something we all in our personal and professional lives, whether it's with a client, with a team member, with a spouse, with a friend. I had a really hard conversation with a friend the other day, and it's like, I made a mistake. I made a huge mistake, and I have to apologize. And I'm like in tears because I had tarnished our relationship, and my friend didn't know, and I had to fix it. It was like derailing my ability to
Mm.
focus because this is someone really close to me. And she's like, okay, what's up?
Oh,
And
yeah.
that, I don't know, there's something there that you probably have a great definition. You're very well read.
There is. No, I don't know. I was just thinking yesterday, I was at a lunch with our a group from Alumni Association, and we meet once a month. It's like a Thursday, third Thursday of the month. And I missed the last three or four for whatever reason. So I haven't seen these people in like 5 or 6 months. So I'm struggling inside with shame, fear, and guilt. I'm ashamed that I missed. I'm fearful to even go. And I'm not a fearful guy, but I'm like, do these people even want me here
Feel
anymore?
like a
Like, I feel
jerk.
awkward showing back up. Like, it's a standing invite, but I kind of think I shouldn't be there. I've got guilt that like I'm playing all these head games, and no one said anything to me about it. No one's like judging me for it, right? But it's a self-perceived thing. So when I got to the group, I actually looked at the facilitator. Her name is Alex. She does a wonderful job. She's like party plan extraordinaire, right? Always puts together these great things. And I went to her and I said, "Hey, can I talk to you for a sec?" I said, "I want to apologize to you." And she's like, "What? Like, what are you talking about?" And I said, I need to apologize. I'm carrying this shame, this guilt. I'm a little fearful of this conversation, but I feel like you do a great job putting on these events, and I've ghosted you for 3 or 4 months. Can I just say sorry? I'd like to apologize and just I feel badly about it. Will you forgive me? And she was like, "Oh my gosh, yes. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, I'm glad you're here today." Right? She was so sweet, so gracious. But in that moment, I think that forgiveness, or if I can call it that, between her and I felt forgiven by her for what I had perceived as a wrong. And in her mind, she's like, "What are you even talking about?" But for me, it was weighing on me, like that I hadn't been there. And in that moment, I'm going to call that an equity deposit. I think our relational bank account increased yesterday, if you will. And that's not why I did. I didn't do it to grow a bank account with her. But through forgiveness, through that conflict, there was a little bit of resolution. And now we're a little bit closer today than we were yesterday. Um, and it started by just saying, "Hey, I think I'm wrong. Can I apologize?" And I think that's super hard to do, to apologize. To apologize as a leader to our people who we're supposed to be in charge of them. Don't apologize. You're leading the charge. I think it's pretty powerful if you can apologize and say, "Hey, I'm sorry. I think as a father, it's hard to apologize to your kids." And man, I'll tell you what, though, apologizing means you might have done something wrong. And if you're like me, you might have messed up a time or two in life. And it's like there's probably something to apologize for there, and I think it's a really hard thing to do in work. I think it's a really hard thing to do at home, and it's probably really good. Uh, yeah.
It's cathartic. There's in my entrepreneurs group, they call it clearing. And it's this cathartic thing to say, I'm really sorry. And so often, especially in our personal relationships, people say, I don't even remember that comment that you made that you're apologizing for. I'm like, well, I've been carrying it with me, and it's been kind of eating away at my perception of our relationship. Thank you for letting me get off my chest. They think it's nothing, but you've been physically carrying it around, or emotionally, I guess.
Mm.
I had a team member last week who I had a phone conversation with one of the executives at our client site. We made a decision. It was like a Thursday afternoon. I didn't communicate to my project manager who was leading a training for this executive's team the next day. She had the call with the team, didn't have all the information, and called me afterwards and said that was a disaster. I made us look bad. And I was like, no, 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 it was me. I own that. I didn't follow through with communication with you. Then I called the client and I was like, I screwed up. I'm so sorry. And they're like, no, it's fine. It was good. We have a little ways to go, but we're good. I don't think so. I think we got an F. So we'll work on that.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I know we're closing in on our time. I really like to wrap these sessions up with some of the things that I heard that might provide value for someone that's listening in, that's in your network or mine or found us some other way. So one of the first things I heard was around taking a risk, really removing some of our core beliefs around employees need to be here. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Knowing that your first time might not pan out.
That's
Another one
certainly
I
true.
heard,
Yeah.
I don't know that it works out for any of us, but the first time. Another thing I heard, you mentioned EOS several times, and I've just had so many clients find success at the level that you're at, where you've brought in a coach, a trainer, an EOS implementer to help you make it all happen efficiently. Or I have so many clients who will pull just the level 10 meetings. That framework, you can Google it. They're phenomenal. The people analyzer, there are a lot of tools. So grab an EOS book, grab an EOS tool, watch a YouTube video, call Luke, call me. Just dip your toe in the water is something I would certainly validate because I think you'll see the efficiency.
Yeah. Man, that's good. Can I throw one other thing I'm just thinking of right now,
Please.
Melissa? So with our remote team, which is, say about a quarter of our staff now, when we do team events, and this is just one thing I'm thinking, I think it's important. I'll put it as a takeaway of like others over self. When we plan our team events, we plan them first for what the experience will be like for our remote and overseas people before we plan ours. Example, so each quarter we have like a quarterly team builder. And so this quarter we're big Fresno State fans, go Bulldogs, right? We're big, a lot of us are proud alum. So we're gonna have an awesome tailgate. We're gonna have it catered, we're gonna have food and drink and have a blast, and all of our family's gonna go to the game. That sounds awesome. We're gonna have a great time. And we've totally neglected a quarter of our team, right? A quarter of our organization can't do that. They're not going to be able to do that. So as we were planning, it's easy to plan the tailgate, but we said, hey, first, what would it look like to create an awesome quarterly experience around a sporting event for our remote team? So each of our remote team is going to be involved in some sort of local sporting event in their area. And we're going to support that financially so they can have a great time. They're going to send pictures in Slack about where they are and what they're doing. And so we're going to celebrate the awesome events that are happening really across the world in the realm of sport in right here in Q3. So as we have our Q3 event, so one thing we did was others over self. What would it look like to plan first there? How do we create a very cool quarterly trust builder, knowing that we're all in different areas and time zones, and American football might not exist somewhere else, right? So you can't go to a tailgate for like the Bulldogs, but how can we make that a neat activity? And so that's one thing I was just thinking right now as a takeaway that I hope to maybe pass on from the dumb tax we've paid, which is, man, think about them first, build their roles and responsibilities first, do the hard work first, and maybe put them above, because it's really easy to think about ourselves. It's easier to think about our local team that's in front of us, easy to manage the people next to you. Man, how do you think about others and put them maybe in front? And I think that'd be an interesting takeaway.
Uh, Thank you for bringing that up because we didn't talk at all about that haves and have nots in terms of the shared experiences. And in some ways, I can say this even as a facilitator, having a fully virtual team in a lot of ways is way easier than having part and part because you're dealing with one given rather than two totally different experiences. So
Yeah.
thanks for sliding that in under the radar. Okay, I thought of two others while you were talking. The concept of using the window for the wins and really looking out to celebrate, and the mirror for the losses. That's one for personally for me takeaway. And then I think our discussion around just the challenging people listening to be more vulnerable about here's
Mm.
something I'm carrying. I think I need to apologize for, or I let you down. Because so often it isn't a shared experience. And I think it's kind of shocking every time I realize that was all me. And if what I find for myself is if I don't do that, there starts to be some weird rift in that relationship that maybe my brain creates to protect me. You start to become, I don't know, you just distance yourself. And if we can force ourselves to apologize. I love bringing it up with our kids. If they don't hear us apologize, how are they ever going to learn it?
I'm not sure. Modeling is probably how we all learn a few different things in life. We've watched somebody else do it. Somebody's a little further along, right? I remember the first time I ever go to like a nice steakhouse. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. And all I did was like, I'm head snapping left and right. Like, why do I have five glasses in front of me? And like, how many forks and knives do I need? And there's a spoon like at the top. Why is a spoon way up there? I don't know what's going on at this place. And so you just like keep your mouth shut and just watch. What was that? That was all modeling. Someone was modeling for me and they didn't even know it. And so we have to do that, right? For our employees, we have to do that for our kids. Modeling, and we're watched all the time, right? Nobody knew I was watching them at the steakhouse. That'd be super weird if they were like, why is this guy super weird dude over here, Luke? But I think we have to do that, right? You got to model those things.
You do. Luke, I feel like we could have had a 2-hour conversation on this and really delved into every portion of the employees remote versus on-site. You did a great job of grabbing the highlights reel for us. Thank you for joining us on You've Got People Problems. If someone wants to contact you about working with Kotman or learning about some of the things that you've done, what's the best way to reach out?
Yeah, I'd love to have you give us a call or drop me an email, 559-347-8200 or lukeross@kotman.com. Love to hear from you. And Melissa, thank you again for having me today. Appreciate the time.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I hope to have you on again, Luke. Such a great chance to see you.
Same.
Bye, y'all. Well, that's a wrap on this episode of You've Got People Problems. If you got something out of the conversation, make sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with the other leaders in your network, because let's face it, we all have people problems. You can watch full episodes on YouTube or listen on your favorite podcast app. But either way, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.